Hi guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Stephen Englander and this is my live show. Next week we're changing the name of the show to Stephen Englander Show. What do you think? So we're doing the lecture and on a Tuesday, so I can farm those out to everybody. But in the meantime, we're just going to have a chat about things that are in the news, and it's an open discussion. So please feel free to ask some questions or make some comments. And nobody ever does, but luckily today we've had some email questions, so I'll look at them a bit later. Do you remember, or you probably won't remember because you won't be old enough, but you might have heard about it, that Orson Welles did a radio show and he narrated the War of the Worlds. And people were so scared that they went jumping off buildings because they thought aliens were really invading. Well, what we've got now is a new president-elect in the United States, which is the most powerful position in the world, apparently. And these people are worried. I mean, I've been having conversations all day. We've been having a laugh about Joe Biden coming on and President Trump. And with my vast knowledge of politics, especially American politics, we've really been making fun of everybody. But, whatever we think, love them or hate them, you do have to give both of them credit, because you've got like two guys in the 70s keeping an election going for that long. I mean, come on, you've got to give them some credit. But it's also, I find it incredible that Trump's so optimistic that when Biden is obviously ahead in the polls, he still feels that he's still going to be president. I think he might be waiting for the Russian vote. Although, to be honest with you, I think Joe Biden and Russia do, even at face value, have more in common with each other, as neither of them seem to respect boundaries. So, my apologies for all that. I just felt I had to say something. But I think what a lot of people are wondering about, and certainly questions that have been asked of me, because they all assume that just because I'm an accountant I understand world events. What, in the main, would the effect of the new president be? President-elect, he's not actually there yet, but he will be. But what effect will the presidency have on your business? Well, just looking at the big things, the main concern with Biden coming to power is what effect it will have on the trade deal that Britain can do with them, because Trump was always quite favourable to Britain. He was pro EU, whereas Biden's not so pro. Was leaving Brexit. Of Brexit, he wants us to stay in the union, and it might affect the way he does any trade deal with us, because he seems to be more interested in the EU than with us. But any impact of the president will always change things. I mean, the currencies might change, and but I was talking to a client the other day, Dave. Hi Dave, hope you're watching. He was telling me that because Biden is a Brexit skeptic, that it might have an adverse effect on trade for you, and it is possible that, because obviously he'll want to protect the interest of America. But at the end of the day, I said to Dave, well, that's all very well and good, but how's that going to affect your pub? I mean, how much beer do you buy from abroad? The hops are grown here. You're buying from a brewery down the road. I mean, what real difference is it actually going to make? I mean, if markets do rise in the USA, it can be good for anyone. If they're holding things like shares or ISAs, or if you've got investments in the United States, which a lot of pension companies do. So it might have an effect. But, at the end of the day, we just don't know. So my attitude here is really, even though I'm talking about Joe Biden, talking about presidency, it's not really going to affect you that much. It really isn't. And even if it does, there's no point worrying about things you can't fix. I mean, one of the things that Biden has said is that it's probably going to take us back into the Paris Climate Agreement. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that he will support companies investing in infrastructure that produce green fuels, and so it might do companies well that are in that area, but the companies that are in traditional carbon-based fuels like gas and oil maybe not so well. But how many of you deal in big fuel? How many are there? How many people do that? You know, you run a hardware shop, you run a pub, you run a restaurant, you run an ice cream parlour. How's that going to affect you? The other thing that there's a possibility that there's always that trade barriers. So we're actually prevented from shipping to and from America. I mean, obviously we can buy from America, but there might be problems that way. But again, it comes back to the same thing. How much of a problem is that really going to pose to you if it adds 5 pence onto a product that you're buying, or you know, it delays shipping, or there's a little bit more paperwork to do? But you've got to ask yourself, how is that actually going to affect you? And at the end of the day, you know, a country the size of the US is going to struggle putting trade blocks and barriers onto things. You know, as always, when there's problems in world events or there's uncertainty, people rush out to buy dollars, which basically means it strengthens the dollar and the pound could become weaker. But then again, if the pound becomes weaker, we can have the other side of it where things become cheaper in the UK for people in America, so we sell more stuff, and that's what we're about. It might even mean that we get them coming over more, so we get more tourism, and then, you know, you can really fleece them. I mean, you can really improve your profit margins by talking to them. So there's not a lot to worry about. There is holidays, of course, because there's always the chance that the dollar does increase in value, that going away could be more expensive. But it's not going to. It's going to be small percentages, and you know what? There's just as many nice beaches in the UK, and there's nice beaches in Europe. You don't need to worry too much about going to America if it's a price concern. You know, I used to live in New York. It's not so great. You know? But you know what? I personally don't even care. I don't even think about these things. I think we make too much of big macroeconomics, and I think we need to be more concerned about our own microcosm, our own little world. And this is a problem that I really want to address with people. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. We can guess, we can predict, but you know, the newspapers will come along and they'll explode everything, and it gives all the politicians, the newspapers, and everyone else something to report on. And so until the great fizzle comes back and we go back to seeing what Prince Andrew is up to next, just ride with the flow. I mean, I might be wrong, and somewhere in the background between the Illuminati and the lizard people, they might really start taking over the world, and then we have to sort of bow down to the reptilian overlords. But at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about that. So we need to take each day as it comes and continue making our sandwiches, serving our meals, making our jackets, and looking after our customers and making sure that they're okay. That's what we've always done. I mean, if you ever get worried in life and things are overwhelmingly bad, there's no trick that they teach you when you do martial arts. So all these experts out there say, what's he talking about? But you know, you draw a circle and you stand in the circle and you deal with what's attacking you in that circle. Your business is your circle. Just deal with the everyday things that create value in your business and for you. Don't worry about other things. Draw the circle and just worry about the business. Worry about your customers. Worry about supplies. I mean, at the end of the day, you can always find new suppliers. You can always find cheaper suppliers or more proficient suppliers. You can always change your product supply. I mean, you might not be able to change who wins the American elections, but you can change the way you view things. I've got a question for you. So here we go. Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden are in a plane crash. Who survives? The world. Sorry, I just felt I had to say that. Look, we all run businesses, and that means our goal is to supply goods and services that make a profit and make sure that customers keep coming back. Just don't forget that. You're not the centre of the world. You're the centre of your own business. You're in the centre of your own life. So just keep things in perspective. Now, you might think I'm going a bit overboard with all of this, but the amount of questions, the amount of worry I've had from people concerned that there's going to be a new world order and they're all going to be out of business. And it doesn't help with breakfast. Shows what I'm thinking about. With Brexit coming up, and with COVID, it seems we're being attacked at every angle, and it's so unfair for small businesses. We small businesses are the lifeblood of the country, and there's no one there really helping us. So we've got to look after ourselves. We really, really do. Sometimes prices do go up. Sometimes supplies become scarce. Sometimes you have to change what you sell. But isn't that what we're always doing? We're always looking for better supplies. We're always looking for better supplies. We're always looking for a better bargain, a better deal. We're always looking for new ways of supplying customers and keeping them happy. But that's what we always do. So just because presidencies change, just because we leave the EU, it doesn't mean to say that we're not pursuing these things anyway. But like I said before, we don't supply big fuel. We're not in big business. If you supply a service like a builder does, or a plumber, or run a pub, how many Americans in the US or even in Europe do you deal with anyway? Just put it in perspective. There's always another supplier, and often it's only down the road. So if you can't find anyone, well, there might be an opportunity for you anyway. So if you can't find a supply, then maybe you can supply it. I remember a guy I used to deal with many, many years ago. Funny enough, he wasn't American, but he came back from America after living there for a few years. And he wanted a futon. You remember, those beds that sort of like turn into a couch sort of thing. And he couldn't find a futon until he went into a place in Manchester, and there was a 6-week waiting list. And he just thought, well, that's an opportunity here if they're in such demand that there's 6 weeks waiting list. So he went and set up a business making futons, and I think within 2 years he opened about 10 shops, and he sold out and went back to live in America. So with everything, there is an opportunity. So just because your supplies are not so great, just because COVID's hit you, there's other ways of dealing with things. I mean, I was talking to a guy this morning. Hi Joe, sorry to quote what you were saying, but he runs a small magazine, he sells advertising, and he was saying at first it was difficult because all his customers were closing, but then he's changed the people he normally dealt with. So he started dealing with more people in the courier businesses, even in food deliveries and takeaways and that type of thing. And he said it's actually didn't know why he didn't think of dealing with that sector of the market before, because now he's busier than ever. So there's another angle. Just coming away from Joe and the rest of the royal family in the presidency, and changing events in the world. So I just want to mention a bit more about Brexit. So there's a question for you. How do you run a small company after Brexit? Well, you start with a big one. Sorry. But just coming on to Brexit, the things that to be aware of. Okay, so if your company is registered in an EU country, if you employ anyone from a European country, if you exchange personal data with another organisation in Europe, I'm just reading this off a list now, if you plan to apply for EU funding, and there's a whole few things that might affect you directly if you receive income or rely on intellectual property, if you run a website with a .eu domain, if you bring or receive goods from EU countries, if you're importing or exporting to them, if you transport goods across EU borders or provide services or do business in the EU, it's going to change, but only from a legislation point of view. There might be a few more forms to fill in. Now, if it's to do with import-export and it's VAT or it's taxes, then obviously we were there. You can always contact me and I can tell you what the rules are for your particular trade. But even if it's not an accounting issue, and there's sort of like be more health and safety or things, licenses specific to your trade, you can do a couple of things. Your trade bodies or your trade magazines are full of this information, but the HMRC also have a site which will tell you exactly what you need to do if any changes happen that affect your particular business. If you really don't know where to look, just drop me an email. I'll see if I can point you in the right direction. But most of the time there's nothing that's going to change massively, because VAT rates change, VAT and tax laws and regulations change all the time, even without Brexit, even without COVID, even without a change in world presidency or even a UK Prime Minister. They just keep changing. So, you're all pretty good at this. I mean, think about it. Staff, they come and go whether they've got to go home because they've not got the permits to stay in the UK, which most of them will have, especially if you've employed them for a few years. So it shouldn't matter. I mean, I employ a few people originally from the EU. They've been with my company for years. We've got no problems. We just make sure that everything's as it should be. But it's not a problem. It's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's just there's a bit of extra legislation. But staff come and go. We get currency fluctuations. There might be more because of Brexit. You're going to get inflation, you're going to get deflation, you're going to get product shortages, product abundances, companies closing, companies opening, companies reopening, because just because you've had to close or things haven't worked out doesn't mean say the next idea. I mean, that which doesn't kill, So with all of this, everything I've said, tell me what's new, tell me what's different. It's all the same thing, nothing new anywhere. It's just the way it's come about. Be aware of everything, but don't take the media too seriously. Just make your own judgments. Concentrate on your own circle. Concentrate on your own business. And I think the press, as always, have made a big muddle of all of this, and there's a lot of indoctrination. I mean, it's powerful stuff. The press. I mean, if you look at the North Koreans, I mean, they believe that they live in the best country in the world because they're brainwashed by the government and the media. But every American knows that America is the best country in the world to live ... Now, apparently, this is something that I was reading the other day. Once Donald Trump accepts that he has to leave the White House, he might be dragged out, but once he accepts he's got to go, he's actually planning on launching his own media and TV empire. I mean, there's an investment if ever I saw one, but, Donald Trump TV, I'm not joking, it's actually true. But it does show how important media and media promotion is, and it's something that I encourage all of you to jump on and get going out there, because at the end of the day, people buy off you, off the image that they think you've got, of what they think you stand for. I mean, people like Trump can win over hundreds of millions of people, and now Joe Biden does, and every American president, prime minister win out millions of people. You can win out a few hundred to buy your products and believe that you're going to get the best product. So I do think you should do a little bit more promotion online. Now, I've got a team here that helps promote business online. It's not a service we offer, but we can certainly give you some tips. And if you join one of our business development groups, we have coaches from all over the place, and with all sorts of different experiences that can help you promote yourself better. So the only question you should be asking, regardless of Brexit, regardless of Biden, regardless of COVID, is how am I going to push my product even more and delight all of my customers? Now I've just got I've done quite well tonight. Normally I babble on quite a lot, but I've got some email questions that have actually been emailed in. Now, I'd glanced at them before, but I've not really looked at them properly. So we've got the first one from Archie Smith in Leeds. I run a small business, but I'm not very good at marketing or getting work in. What do I do? Become good at marketing and become good at getting work in. What I was actually say, I think a lot of marketing, when you've already got a business, starts with making sure that your database is up to date. So I always say to people, have a database. Put in that database everybody you know, everybody you do business with, everybody that supplies you, everybody, everywhere. And then split it into two lists. Take list number one. These are the people that you're going to introduce your product to and remind them to buy your product. And that's very, very important. Keep in touch, emails with people, keep in touch by phoning, make sure people know about your latest products, give people ideas of how to use your product. Now the second list is slightly different. This is a list of people that will tell other people about your product. So if you've got a list, you might have mum, dad, son, daughter, friend, supplier, all everybody else, and you want to tell them what you're doing and see if they know anybody else that they could bring to you. Don't rely on other people bringing business to you. And if you're not getting much joy from your database, either speak to someone that's an expert in it, but it might cost money, or there's nothing to stop you phoning somebody and say, why haven't you bought from me? What's wrong with me? You know, do I need to clean my teeth more often? But you do need to be proactive. You do need to be talking to people. If you phone 10 people, you'll do some business. But if you sit there not phoning anyone, not contacting anyone, thinking you can send out 1,000 emails in one go, you're not going to get anywhere. I wish I could say that you are, but you're not. You can't really rely on other people to refer business to you. If you're in the phase and they know that you're going to, you've given them a deal and a reason why. And it's not always money, it's how they can benefit by introducing your service. But that's something that'll be on one of the lectures we do on Tuesdays. It's not a live show, so don't worry about it. Archie, I hope that helps a bit. I think what I'm saying there is you can't say, well, I'm not very good at marketing, I'm not very good at getting work in. You've got to become good at getting work in. You can't rely on anybody else. You maybe go and read a few self-help books, watch a few videos, join one of my programs. But no one's going to give you the work. You've got to go and take it, and that's the fun as well. So sometimes I think, the days when I could just sit at my desk in a nice warm room with a telephone, just phoning people and doing deals. That's fun. It's great. My dad still does it. He goes down. I told you, he goes down the Google route, and he Google Maps. And he finds people that sell the products he does. He gives them a ring. He has a great time. He plays drafts over the phone with some of them. It's communication. So hang on. Got another one here. This is from Tony Cronenberg, also in Leeds. Popular with Leeds today. How do I get people to send me referrals? Oh, it's a similar line. You can get people to send you referrals because we live on a lot of referrals as well. It's by doing a good job. Just do the good job. What's in it for the person to send you referrals? Well, they want to do. It's a way of thanking you for doing a good job for them. Keep in touch with people. Some people do like to help. And I always say, why do people send their friends to Accounts Direct? Because they like their friends. So obviously, if they know that there's a bit of kudos in sending somebody to refer to somebody, if they know that guy's going to do them a good job, and I'm sure you're going to do a good job. So you're not going to get referrals by sitting on your arse. You need to do deals with key people. Sometimes the key person can be a cafe down the road where lots of your target market go into. So maybe do a deal with them. Maybe say, look, I'll send people to you, and while they're there, send them to me. Or first coffee that they come in, it's on my company. Just do deals. And the quality of the deals you do depend on the price point you've got and the amount of profit that you can play with. Set a budget for how much you can do for marketing and keep referrals in that marketing group. So I've got a third one here, and it's from Jade McCabe in Newcastle. Is it worth buying Google ads? I'm not sure it is. I've spent money on all of this, and I've lost money. I don't believe that Google ads. I don't like any of this stuff. And to make it effective, I think companies spend thousands and thousands and millions of pounds on it to make it effective. I think that you haven't got that sort of budget, and if you have, I think you'd be better putting it other ways, and that's that more personal touch. I mean, I send these videos out, so we don't pay anything. It's Google ads, but I think this month we've had something like 15,000 impressions. It's all organic, and if you do what people like, then you'll get a further reach. So I think maybe if you're asking this question, it means you're not getting anywhere with this type of thing, or you're listening to people that sell Google ads. I think before you do anything, set up your own online presence. Do it properly. Do it so that you give people something of value, even if it's only a little bit. Measure your results, tweak them, and then when you feel you're starting to get in some business generating, maybe you can look at some sort of paid promotion so that you can get a further reach. But don't just jump into it. Don't jump into anything that's got a big cost. So I do have another question here, and we've got another one here. Okay, it's about Biden again. It's, do I think Biden will see through a second term? Kamala Harris from Kingston upon Thames. Kamala, I'm not sure if Biden will get to a second term. I'm not sure whether he'll finish a first term, or whether someone from the CIO sprinkles something nice on his cornflakes and his young lady friend can take over. But you know, I just don't know. I'm not really that into politics. And I've got another one here from Danny Davis in Bury. Hi Danny, I know we had a chat yesterday about this. Deliveroo. You've done okay with them from your takeaway, haven't you? But what's the question? Deliveroo and Uber Eats have really helped my business. Is there a downside? Oh yeah, there is a downside. Just like with Amazon and eBay. Here's what I predict with Uber Eats and Deliveroo, who I think have been a godsend in this COVID crisis, because it's got people that would have been closing, and it's given them a chance to have a slightly different business model or extend their business model. And I think the concept now of ring and deliver is here to stay. But why am I a bit cautious with them? It's because if I look into my dark future, and I say, what's to stop these people from taking on big kitchens and warehouses and coming up with their own brands? So they have a section there that deals in Chinese food, another one in Indian food, another in Italian food. You know, they probably won't get away with kosher food because of all the aggravation with it. But fish and chips there, you know, all this type of thing. And they'll have their own brands going, so people will be phoning and you don't know where that food's coming from. It's a brand that belongs to Uber Eats or Deliveroo, and you are being pushed out of it because their supplies will come first. I mean, Amazon have done this. Amazon have taken the middleman out. Like I was watching a program a while ago, but I hear it with clients all the time, where this particular guy was supplying jackets, a certain type of leather jackets, for years, and all of a sudden Amazon went directly to the manufacturer. So instead of supplying this guy with the jackets, the manufacturer was now selling all the products, and the wholesaler was now out of business. Now, you might say fair enough, but at the end of the day, that's what they'll do. When the person that controls the customers, and even the money to a degree, is going to own that business. So there is nothing to stop them setting up their own. If eBay or the powers that be or Amazon or any of these types of groups suddenly see something really flying out, there's nothing to stop them setting up their own supplies and cutting you out. So, you know, if you've got a restaurant, takeaway, pub, and Uber and Deliveroo being great, then wonderful. But use them as well, but set up your own delivery methods. Build it in as part of your business. You know, you might not be financially that much better off, although you probably will be, but you will have control. It's better to be selling things through your own websites rather than selling it through the auction sites. They all have their place, but they shouldn't get too powerful in your life. So I hope that doesn't get me shot or sued by some Uber or Deliveroo person or eBay or all these giant people that could take me out in a second, and that's not my intention. It's only to look after you and make you think. Just because it's been a godsend now, and just because it's easy, doesn't mean say it's going to be something that lasts in the future. So I do hope that I've been of use to you tonight, and do keep questions coming in, because it stops me stuttering and you know, going a bit old now. I forget things, so it gives me something to remember by. So I've done my half-hour stint, because I've been told that the 45 minutes from last week was a bit long and people getting bored. I don't believe that. I don't think I could ever bore anybody. But on that note, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I will see you next Thursday. So do please have lots of questions for me. Don't care personal ones, but there we go. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.